Hi everybody, Peter here. As promised, we're doing some Q&A today on Ibogaine, and I have someone here ready to ask me some questions. What do you got, Amber?
Okay, so tell me what Ibogaine is.
Ibogaine is a nothing made in a lab. It's from the Iboga plant in Africa. I think it's West Africa, and it's been used over there for quite a long time, but it was really found by I guess you would call it Western medicine, from what I understand, like 100 years ago, and it really started getting some traction in like the 60s, and it has a incredible. They still don't know how it works, but it's got these anti-addictive properties to it. So anyone that takes it, it somehow rescrubs those reward receptors in your brain that have been wired to, if you're an addict or you got certain mental issues, or there's so many things that it helps people with, and yeah, I did it. I had to do it.
Where did you go to take the Ibogaine?
So it's illegal in the U.S., and shame on Johns Hopkins University for a study they did a while back. If anyone wants to look into that, they can. It's legal in Canada. It's legal in Mexico and some parts of Europe. Being that I don't care for Canada too much, I went to Mexico, and I did a bunch of research before I went, and I went to the POI Institute down there. And one big place that gets a lot of attention is called Beyond. I think it's BEOND is the way it's spelled. A lot of people have gone to this place. But I decided to go to POI Institute because when I was doing my research, I called, and there was this gal that I talked to. Her name was Diane. And this place, they only take like up to 3 people at a time. And places like Beyond and other places will take a lot of people. So this just felt, and she talked to me. We had a really good discussion on the phone. And she's kind of felt like I had this like motherly instinct to her. Like she could tell if you're full of shit. She was happy. You could hear she was happy and excited to talk to you, and like was really digging in. She wasn't just going down a list of questions and saying, yeah, what about this? What about this? We had a discussion. We talked about my issues and my concerns and why I'm doing this, and she gave me really good advice. And I'm really glad that I went there because it's so much more intimate. Like right away, I got picked up from the airport by her husband. His name is Georgie. I call him Georgie. Hey, Georgie. He's this big, muscle-bound gorilla, silverback gorilla type guy. And first thing they do is they bring me to this blood draw place. And they take my blood because the POI, they want to make sure that you're healthy enough to do it. There are some small risks to doing Ibogaine, but so I get my blood drawn, and well, we can go into that later. But yeah, where did I go? Was POI Institute. I'm going to assume what you're going to ask next is what did it cost?
Yes, what did it cost?
It was expensive for sure. These things never are cheap. My case is a little bit different because while I have been clean from, I haven't done heroin in almost 13 years, I was on methadone. And methadone is a long-acting synthetic opioid. You cannot have anything like that in your system if you're going to do Ibogaine, because your receptors, like here's your receptors, right? And then you take an opioid, heroin, fentanyl, oxy pills, whatever, it fills your receptors like that, right? Your receptors are full. Methadone kind of fills it halfway. You still have the same effect, but for some reason, methadone, it, like Oxycontin or heroin, it's real quick. It's like 8 hours, right? But the half-life of methadone is like 72 hours. It's a long time. So you can't have all of your receptors filled while you take it. So in my case, I had to be there. Most people can go, and I want to say for most people it's like around 12 grand. But for me it was maybe 10 grand. But for me it was 15 grand because I had to be there for 5 days first before I did the treatment, so they could be sure that all the methadone was out of my system. And another question people might be asking at this point is, well, didn't you go into withdrawal? What were you doing? Were you withdrawing from methadone for 5 days? No, I wasn't. First thing when I got picked up on the way to get my blood drawn, I got they gave me a small amount. It was like 5 milligrams or something of 5 or 10 of oxycodone, whatever. And that's okay to do that because it's so short, right? So they wanted to keep me out of withdrawal. The biggest thing is we got to get the methadone out of your system. So I had to be there 5 days. I had to be there. It took 5 days before I could actually do the treatment, and I got drug tested along the way. And finally, about the fourth day, the fourth day, my drug test showed that the methadone was out. I wasn't showing anymore. So yeah, that's good. And I got my last dose of OxyContin that night at like 7:00, and which was still fine because by the time I was going to be dosed the next day, which is 10 a.m., it was even the oxy would have been out of my system. Your receptors can't be full when you do this. So for me, it was I had to be there a little bit longer than most people, but yeah, it was about 15 grand, and then throw on top of that the plane tickets and travel and just incidental costs. Definitely costs a little more than that, but
What was it like when you did the Ibogaine? Put us in the room with you.
Okay, so one thing I want to get out of the way is a lot of people are going to be asking, and some have already asked, where can I get this? As if they want to buy it online or something and do it in their bedroom. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm in this beautiful, it's like a mansion, palm trees right on the beach, and there's a nurse there that's with you. And so I'm laying in this bed, and I had an IV in, and I was hooked up to this, I don't know if it was an EKG or what it was. And they were taking my blood pressure a lot because they want to monitor your heart while you're going through all this. And so, excuse me. And so, the nurse is sitting there right there with you, and you take your first dose. It's in a capsule, and nothing's happening. And you're wearing these noise canceling headphones, and also this eye masks like you wear on a plane, for sleeping, keep your eyes closed. So I'm wearing that, and I got the headphones on, and I'm laying in this bed, and the nurse is sitting right there, paying attention, watching, and still nothing. And an hour later, you take another dose. Okay? Still nothing. Hour later, another dose. And then it started happening. It was very strange when one person had asked, what did you first notice? And I heard this buzzing sound, and there were these vents up kind of towards the ceiling, and I hear this buzzing noise, and it sounded like, I look up, and there's these vents up there for the HVAC, and I look up, I sit up from the bed, And I take my headphones off and I open and the nurse is looking at me like, what's up? And I said, what the fuck is that? He goes, what? That? What is that freaking noise? And it sounded like a massive bee was stuck in the vent. And it's like hitting against the vent. Zzz. It's like, zzz, I'm like, and when I went like this, that freaking noise, you don't hear that? When I did that, my arm, like I saw this visual trail of my arm going up and down. And I was like, whoa. And he looked, the nurse's name was Chewy, super cool guy. He looks at me, he's like, there's no sound there. I was like, okay, it's happening. Oh shit, it's happening. I'm kind of terrified at the moment. So he's like, just lay back down, put everything back on. You're going in. I'm like, oh boy. So I put the mask back on, the noise canceling headphones, and it's got this kind of like slow ethereal music playing. And I lay back down, and that's when it started. Oh, here's another thing. I had to wear a diaper because some people can go so deep that you might piss yourself or something. Luckily, that didn't happen to me. And they do that because also when you're under, it's called something you experience ataxia. I think it's called ataxia, which was weird because there was a couple times I needed to go to the bathroom, and I sat up, and when you open your eyes, the whole world is shaking like this. Like everything is shaking, like it's like this. The whole world, everything. So you can't walk. Like if you were to stand up, it'd probably be hilarious to watch someone try and stand up, because you'd be falling over, right? So they help you to the bathroom, and then you go to the bathroom, you get back into the bed and put everything back on, and you just, as long as your eyes are closed, you see all this stuff, and you're probably going to wonder what I saw.
Yeah, that would be my next question. So what did you see?
The first thing that I saw was all these, it was like Polaroid pictures, like dozens of them coming in from both sides, kind of lining up and just slowly moving around me. And I looked at one, and it was like the Polaroid picture. I go into this scenario, and I was in this house back where I used to use back in Northeast Minneapolis, and I am standing above myself, and I'm about to use. I'm looking at myself about to use. I'm sitting in the corner with my legs crossed, and I have a syringe. And I'm looking at myself, and I see on the syringe in bright red letters, bold, it says poison. And right after that is a skull and crossbones. And it's on the needle. And I'm about to inject this, and time just kind of froze. And there was this girl, Rachel, who, rest in peace, she's died. She's dead now, overdose. And then this other guy was to my right, Andy, and everything is frozen. And this rage, this blood red rage, like, came up in me, rage that I have never ever felt before in my life. So I wear these like dress shoes that they're they're like a loafer, and they're pointy or tipped, and I was wearing these shoes, looking down at myself, this pale, weak, pathetic drug addict sitting basically, in this house with junkies, and I looked at myself like, you idiot, what the fuck are you doing? I started again, I have never felt anger like this. Never before, never since. And I hope I never do, because I wanted to turn and kick myself in the head with that shoe and take my freaking head off. I was so mad at myself. I'm watching myself about to do this. And then, and then time, time was frozen at that moment. And then things, all of a sudden, like I'm in this, things are moving again. And I went down and I grabbed myself and I threw myself up against the wall. And I start hitting myself. Bam, 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 punching myself in the face. It's wild. I'm getting goosebumps just telling this story again. I've told it to a lot of people every time I tell this story. And I'm hitting myself as hard as I can. If I could have stuffed my fist straight through my head and killed that pussy, weak little me, I would have done it. I was hitting myself as hard as I could. So then I grab myself and I'm dragging myself out of this room, and I'm like crying, and and there's these stairs that go downstairs to this entryway, and there's a door there, and then there's a little parking lot. So I'm at the top of the stairs, and I grab myself and I threw myself down the stairs. I threw myself so hard, I hit the wall and I fall all the way down, and I'm storming down the stairs, like just fucking mad. And I grab myself, I drag myself outside. Oddly, I had a Cutlass Supreme, which is a car I had in high school. I don't know. And I open the back door and I throw myself in the back of the car with, fucking rage. And I slam the door shut. And then I get in the front seat and I open the glove box, and there's a revolver in there, which I've never had a revolver. I have automatics like Glocks, and it's odd that I had a revolver. I don't know why. It's weird. I thought about that a lot. Why did I have a revolver? But it was a big one. It must have been a 357 or a big revolver. And I grabbed this thing and I reached over behind the seat, and I'm this weak drug addict self of me is like in the fetal position, like don't hurt me, and I'm crying because I just got beat up, and I shoved the gun in my mouth to the point where like I felt teeth break, like I broke my own teeth, and I couldn't stop pushing. I'm pushing the gun into my freaking mouth as hard as I could. I was so mad at myself. I was so disappointed and like let down, and like I wanted to just, how did you get here, you idiot? And then it kind of faded away. Like that was the first thing that I experienced, and it was just so wild. It was the craziest thing. And then the next thing that happened, and this is a weird one. So, actually, after that experience, I had a camera set up, watching me the whole time with a big video card, and I had it plugged in so it would record for like 48 hours if I needed. I got up after that experience and I got to the edge of the bed, and again everything is kind of, and I told that to the camera because it was so profound and so just, it was just the craziest thing. And I had to get that on camera because I was really worried that I was going to forget it. And I did. And then didn't forget it. I told the story to the camera, and luckily I didn't forget it. And then so I lay back down and put everything back on. And the next thing that happened was I'm in this real dark room. Everything's dark, and there's this steel table, real rounded, nice, polished steel table, and I'm laying on it. And there's this being standing above me. So I'm watching myself lay on this table like 20 feet away. I was a little bit ways away. And there's this being, and it was like, there was a lot of blue. Like she had this blue aura about her. And this whole time, and when I say a lot of blue, I mean a lot of blue in the whole experience. it was like there was a lightning storm of blue lightning going on in my head. I could feel electricity just firing in my head, just things getting fixed or rewired or something. And so there's this gal, and she wasn't human. I don't know what she was. And she looks over at me while I'm looking at her and myself on this table, and she kind of gives me a little nod. It doesn't say anything. She didn't even have a mouth. She had a mouth, but it never opened. She was silent. And she nodded to me like everything, and I just took it as everything's going to be okay. Relax. And so she picks me up. She got one hand under my neck and one under the small of my back. And she picks me up. She brings me over to this second table that's next to her. And she sets me down. But she doesn't move her hands. She's still holding me. And I felt just this weird, not weird, but this amazing peace. Like I was, like Mother Nature was, or something was just cradling me, you know. Like she's like, I'm not going to let go of you. You're okay. But I'm standing here watching this and I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? What is going on? And all of a sudden, boom, this big bang. Some type of a box lands right next to me, pops open, and all these little things start coming out. So I'm laying like head here, feet here. Again, I'm like 20 feet away, and these things are coming out, and they're looking, she's holding my neck, and she lifts my head up, and these things start cutting into, I know this sounds crazy, these things start cutting into the back of my head. Like, it sounded like a construction site, like saws and banging, and they're cutting the back of my head open. And the back of my head falls open, just tink onto the table. And I'm like looking, like, what are they doing? And I see this popping, like electricity, like pop, 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 snap, snap, bam, bam. And these things are looking in the back of my head, and it was black, and there was frayed wires and just like smoke, and they start going back and forth to this box. There was like 7 or 8 of these little things, and they start ripping stuff out of the back of my head. And I'm standing there watching this happen. And I'm like, what are they doing? What are they doing? What are you guys doing? You know, I'm freaking out. And the gal again looks over to me and she's like, stop. It's okay. You know, it was, so I'm just like, okay, maybe I'm just tripping out because this is not happening. And the whole thing, probably them going back and forth and tearing stuff out, probably lasted maybe 2 minutes. And then all of them go back to the box except this one. And the one like looked up at this being kind of for approval, or looked up at her like, okay, we're done kind of thing. And she turns and she looks, and she looked back at him and kind of gave him a little, like, are you sure? And the little thing looked back and goes, like he didn't say, oh, but it was like he realized something. And he grabbed something in my head and pulled it out and turned it around and shoved it back in. He wasn't gentle about it. It was weird. And these little things, you're like, well, how could that rip something out of it? I don't know. It was wild. I don't know. And so, again, I go over and I'm trying to get a better angle to look in the back of my head of what happened. And it's like stainless steel piping, perfectly ran. Like everything's nice and clean and polished. Whereas before it was black and popping and everything was effed up in my head. Like these things were fixing my head. And maybe that didn't actually happen, of course, but maybe it's just a metaphor of what was Ibogaine doing in my head. It was rewiring something. It was fixing, it was cleaning something in my head. And the little guy, after he did that, she kind of was like, good job. She gave him a little like, there you go. I knew what she was saying. She wasn't saying it. And he goes back he kicks I still have part of my, my skull laying on the table there, and he kicks it, and it goes foop, back into my head. And that was that. And then the dream kind of faded away. And then I went into another one. And we can get into more, but right now I'm kind of more interested in answering some questions. So what else do you got?
Does it work for PTSD?
Well, yeah. That was in addition to, that was one of the biggest reasons why I went down there. Was because not only because I wanted to I needed a rewrite. I needed a reset, with COVID and seclusion. And during COVID, I lost my job, and the way that happened was incredibly traumatic for me. I lost a job, a career that I had worked so hard for. I put everything into. And when I lost that job, I had feelings of suicide. Honestly, it was bad. And I could never let it go. I was so bogged down by this baggage. Not only that, but through my whole using history, you got to do a lot of fucked up shit to support your addiction. I stole a lot. I lied a lot. I carried around a lot of shit. And while I had I fixed my life, I still carried all this around. Still, even years and years after, I still carry this around. Like, just this, like, huge rocks, boulders on my back. And then this happened where I lost my job. And at some point, we can get into what happened there. But for now, I genuinely feel like I have PTSD. And even with my using days, when I finally got cleaned up, it was because I got hospitalized. I got beat to death by a couple dealers. And I felt like I was always looking behind my back, looking over my shoulder, just carrying all this shit with me. So I think I had pretty significant PTSD. And I also believe that I have some CTE. Like, I've taken some serious blows to the head. And when those guys beat me, they were kicking and stomping me in my head. Kicking me in the head. And I remember at one point, I had blood running out of my nose like a river. I was on the ground. I'm down. It's over. Nope. Stomping on my head. Stomping. Kicking. Full on, like you're going to kick a soccer ball. Wham! In my head. I don't even know how I got to the hospital. So I do think I had some maybe traumatic brain injury, or maybe I got some CTE or something, because that was really bad. And I had a very severe concussion. So all that. I didn't just go for addiction. I went because of a multitude of reasons, and that was one of the biggest ones. So can it cure PTSD? I don't know if it can cure it. It absolutely will help, though. It'll absolutely help. I've heard so many stories of people that are, PTSD aside, people that are on antipsychotics, on antidepressants, people that are, that have certain, like, maybe even sexual proclivities or gambling issues or just things like that they've had problems with their whole life, and they went and do this, and it's gone. It's cured. It's over.
Do you think RFK will make this available?
Do I think RFK will make this available? I don't know. I certainly hope so. I think he's a lot more open-minded than a lot of people. I think he's probably our best bet at getting something like this. Because again, it's legal in Canada, it's legal in Mexico, it's legal in Europe, but not here. Not to be a conspiracy theorist or to crap on big pharma, because pharma is needed for a lot of things and they do help a lot of people, but they're not a charity. They need recurring business. And what better model for recurring business if you're depressed or if you whatever, what better model to just have someone keep coming back for more pills every month? Get a refill, take your pills. We'll keep selling you pills. We'll charge your insurance company a whole bunch of money. It costs us $3 to make this. We're going to charge them $100. Why would they? Of course, it's illegal here. Why would they sell a cure? Why would they sell a cure? This is a for-profit business. Big pharma, the medical industry, it's for profit. It's not a charity. So why sell anyone anything that fixes you? So back to your question, I mean, that's just how I don't know that that's why it's not legal here. I am just guessing. I'm assuming. I'm thinking as a businessman, as a CEO. I'm thinking that's probably why, because there is something out there that will fix you. At least 90% of the people that take it first time. Some people might need 2 times, maybe. It's pretty rare. So back to your question, will RFK, I don't know. I think there's so much bureaucracy and there's so much money in lobbying from those people, keeping people in office. I mean, once people get into office and they're part of the show in DC, they don't ever want to leave. So they'll do just about not anything. There are good people up there. There are good people up there. There are bad people up there. I don't know that, I just don't know how it could ever get through. But who knows? I hope he would. I think he could make it happen.
Another question we got was, will this work for people trying to get sober?
Oh, yeah. I think that's the best thing, I mean, in my eyes. That's the number one thing it should be for. If you look at, like, thank God, again, that fentanyl wasn't around back when I was using heroin, because I'd be dead. There's so many people that are being poisoned. It's a poisoning. It's not overdosing. It's poisoning. Let's just call it what it is. And your tolerance, if you're doing fentanyl, your tolerance must be so high. And for you to go through withdrawal, like I remember going through withdrawal on heroin, and it was like I wanted to slit my wrist. It's the flu times 10. It's just utter misery. I can't imagine what it's like going through withdrawal on fentanyl. And one thing that Ibogaine does is you skip that withdrawal. It's gone. You skip it. So you stop using the day before. The next morning, you're going to start getting the kicks. You're going to start, your joints are going to ache. You're kind of squirmy. And once you do the Ibogaine, once it kicks in, it's gone. Your withdrawals are gone. And then you're into this kind of a deep sleep, kind of a dream state. You know where you are. You're not freaked out. You're not gone like you take acid or heavy dose of mushrooms. It's nothing like that. You know where you are the whole time. And you just experience this. And it's so wild that it takes it all away. It takes it all away. And when you come out of this, not only will all of your baggage, like I was talking about, that I was carrying around forever, that's going to be just taken away from you. It's gone. Like, you'll still remember, but it's not baggage anymore. It's something so much different. It's almost like being born again in a weird way. And your ego especially, one metaphor I like to use, or example I tell people is, it was like my ego got put through an industrial paper shredder. Like, it's just shredded. It's over. You are so much more understanding and kind and loving and accepting, and all of your baggage has just been released, and you feel so much lighter, and you're carrying this crap around forever, and now it's gone. And now, not only that, but you have zero desire to use again. Zero. It's gone. It's the wildest thing. They still don't know how it works. They don't know how it works. I don't know how it works. Nobody knows how it works. But this is a gift from God, I think. And it's here. It is on earth. It's here. People can do it. Again, I would say don't just try and order it online. Don't try and do it in your bedroom or something. Go to a place where they can guide you through it, where they can monitor you and all that. Because I am so glad I went to where I went, and I did it the way I did, because I do not believe I would have had the same experience had I not. So to your question, does this help addiction? 100%, 110%. This will reset you. It's a reset. It's a reset button.
Okay, so for anybody who would want to look into this, where would they go? Like specifically for the POI Institute where you went, do they have a website?
They do, yeah. It's POI, and POI stands for Power of Ibogaine. POIinstitute.com. And when you call, you're probably going to talk to Diane and tell her that Peter sent you. And tell her that Peter loves her. She's the coolest lady. She is so much fun. And it's really nice being down there too, because like I said, it's a small, they only take a few people at a time. So it's very intimate. And they got people that come in every day to clean the house, to make your bed, to do your laundry, that make you breakfast, make you lunch, make you dinner. Everything's included. There's no extra costs. A few times a week, we'll go out and get pizza somewhere, or there's a time where we went out on the ocean on this. We chartered a boat and went out on the ocean and saw the Pirates Cove thing right down there, and it's down in Cabo San Jose del Cabo, not Cabo San Lucas, San Jose del Cabo, which is I think it's like 20 minutes from actual Cabo, but it's in a gated community. It's a beautiful place that you're staying in. You get your own room, your own bathroom, anything you need, you got it. And you got George, the silverback gorilla, driving you around, and Diane in the front seat, kind of talking shit and having fun with you. And it's kind of like it's a weird thing, because it's like a little family type scenario, like you got dad up front, and then you got Diane up front, kind of yelling at him and telling him where to go and what to do and where we're going. Oh, Josh, why don't you go this way? It was like being a little kid again, like going on a trip or something. And they're great people. They are great people. And again, one big one is Beyond, and I haven't been to Beyond. I don't know about it. I've heard a lot of testimonies about it. I think sounds like it's a great place. But there's something about Diane, and there's something about the idea of, like, they only take a few people at a time. And it was very intimate and amazing. And there's a workout room there. There's a pool. We went down to the pool every single day. Go down to the pool. And we got, pop, and you can get a couple appetizers. They got food. They got a workout room. There's a hot tub. We had, even at the house, we had a couple times, they had people come in to give us hour-long massages. So we're outside on the patio, palm trees. There's the ocean, the beach, just beautiful community. And we're laying in the sun, half naked, getting a full body massage for an hour or 2 hours by these gals that come in. Like, it was just the greatest experience ever. It was so amazing. And then, you get through the Ibogaine, and the day before you leave, ooh, the day before you leave.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about the day before you leave.
The day before you leave. That is the cherry on the sundae. You do 5-MeO DMT. And for those that don't know, dimethyltryptamine, DMT, is something that's produced. It's endogenous to our bodies. It's in grass. It's in plants. It's in wood. It's in everything. It's in everything. And for those of you that have heard of the pineal gland, there's a gland in your brain that they think, at least the last I heard about this, and it could be different now, but the way I understand it, your pineal gland stores DMT. And when you die, your pineal gland releases a flood of DMT in your brain. And it's like a transition. It's to help you transition into what's next. And you've heard stories of people that have had near-death experiences, or people that have died and have come back to life. And what do they all say? They all say the same thing. Saw a bright white light, or there was a tunnel with white light in the end. And I went there, and all I felt was love and grace and acceptance and beauty, and it was the craziest thing, da-da-da-da-da. That's what everyone says when they have a near-death experience or have died and come back to life. They all say that. So you can actually do DMT. There's regular DMT and there's 5-MeO DMT. 5-MeO is just much more potent. And I did it on the beach with a shaman. Coolest guy in the world. His name was Tim. He was from Africa. And we sat and talked for about 30 minutes before I even did it. And the whole trip took about 8 minutes. You breathe it in. We worked on my breathing first and all that stuff. We talked about you're part of everything. Your energy is part of everything, and so you take the hit and you hold it, you blow it out, and the waves are crashing in the background, and I'm laying on the beach in the sand, sun is out, clear skies, and you lay back, and all of a sudden you are just slingshotted into this. Joe Rogan, I think, said it best. He did it, and he said it was like being sent into, or slingshotted into, can't remember exactly how he said it, the source code of the universe. And it was exactly that. It's like the universe is this just boundless, evolving, loving white light, almost like a machine, just ultimate consciousness that's just ever moving and providing and giving. And I got pulled into this. And I remember, and Rogan said the same thing too, not to quote Rogan too much, but he said the same thing when he first did it. He said, oh no, I'm dead. Oh shit. And I had that feeling right when I first did it, right when I laid back and the experience happened. I started, you are slingshotted faster than the speed of light into the middle of the creator of everything. And you are a part of everything. There is no way to explain it. There is no string of words in the English language or any language that you could put together to explain this. There's no way. And I genuinely feel like I saw God. Like I met God. And it only lasted 8 minutes. And it's all white light and this like geometric patterns and evolving, just just giving and love. And you see all this. It's so overwhelming to your senses and to your logic. You can't believe what's happening. And I was floating. It was like I was floating on this sea of light and love. And I'm looking around, and as far as I can see is just white light and beautiful pattern. And I had that right when I first did it, I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh God, oh God. That only lasted like 5 seconds, maybe 10. And then I'm on this sea, and I remember thinking, I'm good. Go ahead. If I'm dead, I'm fine. If this is it, I'm fine. And then, so the shaman's like chanting and doing like singing a little bit, and he's got these little things, and he's going, whatever. And he's got these bowls, these brass bowls. And then he hits this bowl. He had 3 bowls. He hits all 3. And so these bowls, and I'm laying down, and I have a video of this. I took a video of the whole experience. These bowls are like around my head when I'm laying down. He hits them, boom, 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 and they're vibrating. And when that happened, it was like, so at that time, like I said, it was like I was floating on this sea of white light and love and beauty. And love isn't even the word for it. It's like just, there's no word for it. It's so hard to explain. And so he hits these bowls. And I remember watching the video. I didn't even remember this until I watched the video. I like shrieked. I was just like, not to be, it's kind of embarrassing, honestly, but that's what happened. And it was like my soul or my being or my essence or my life or whatever dissolved into this sea of everything. And I was a part of everything. It was like I was a part of the universe. I was a part of this ultimate consciousness, this life-giving, this beauty, this love, I was a part of all of it. I wasn't just like there and watching it and feeling it. It was like I was a part of it now. And I just laid there, and I was the most content I have ever been in my life. And as soon as, right when I did it, like as soon as you take off, that's how fast you come back. And all of a sudden, it starts to fade away. And I'm like back in my body. And I sit up, and again, we're in the sand, so I sit up and I lift my hands up. And I could see all the little grains of sand that were on my hands. And I could see into the sand even. Like I could see through everything and into everything. And this only lasted this was like a residual 30 seconds maybe. I couldn't believe how beautiful everything was. And I felt so stupid. I'm like, what have you been? The beauty around everything. I felt like an idiot. Like, how have I done this? How have I done that? But I was so grateful. I was so incredibly grateful for that experience. And I stood up, and like the shaman's like, you got a big one there. You got a good hit. And I was like, I know, that was crazy. Like, I want to go back. And I gave him a big hug, and I was like, man, Tim, I got to go do something. I'll be back. He's like, hey, brother, go ahead, man. Do what you got to do. He was really cool. Kind of hippie-ish, but really cool guy. Go do what you got to do, brother. And I was probably 100 yards from the ocean, if that. And I just ran into the ocean, and I jumped in with my clothes on. George didn't like that because I got full of sand and I got his golf cart a little dirty. But he's okay. I had to go, and these waves are crashing in. Right? Beautiful ocean, blue sky, palm trees, and just sun is out. And I came out of this thing like so incredibly grateful, and it was almost like a rebaptism or something. The sea was oddly calling me, and I went and I just jumped into the ocean with my clothes on. I just jumped in, and then I just lay there on the beach in the waves, letting the waves crash over me, and I'm just laying there like, go ahead, like I was being in a weird way, it kind of felt like being absolved or something, or I don't know. I just had to go down there and do it, and I had this cool, cold water was running over me, and I just had to lay there, and I laid there for a few minutes, just letting the water just rush over me and rush over me, and so the Ibogaine is tough. It's hard to go through. You see a lot of crazy stuff, but I love the protocol, because I'm pretty sure every Ibogaine clinic does this, where they do the Ibogaine and then you wait a few days, and then the day before you leave, you do the 5-MeO DMT. And I think that's a great way to do it, because I was processing so much after the Ibogaine. So much. I had so much reflection and processing of what happened, and just kind of almost utter disbelief. But then when you do the DMT, it brings the whole thing together. It brings it all together, all of it, like the missing piece in a jigsaw puzzle or something that somehow makes the whole puzzle come together. You know, not just a missing piece, but just something. It was absolutely amazing, and I wish that I hope RFK or the government will allow this to happen, because there's so many people out there that need help and that are dying and that are stuck on medication and just taking and taking and taking. And when there's something out there that will not only fix their addiction or fix their issue, but it'll make them a better human being. But for those of you that have questions, that have more questions, I am an open book. I mean, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm very transparent. If you have questions, email me. Ibogaine, Ibogaine, advocate, ADVOCATE, Ibogaine advocate @gmail.com. Also, definitely feel free to comment on the videos. Not only does it help boost, I think it helps the algorithm boost the videos up, but if you want to comment on the videos, we can respond there as well too. So yeah, anything I can do to help, I would love to do.